Oh, good evening, everyone. Jen Neesett here on Saturday night. I hope you guys are having a super exciting Saturday night like we are here. And I am very excited to bring with you tonight our closing topic. We're going to talk fuel. It's a big one. And I just want to say, first of all, thank you for a wonderful day of sharing, and more importantly, this week you guys have just it's been overwhelming, it's been exciting. We've just really enjoyed sharing this week with all of you. I have more to share at the end about how this group is going to close out tomorrow, but what I want to say or sort of clarify about my talk today is I'm not an expert. I'm an expert in a few things, namely the neck and back and spine patients and in the physical therapy world. In nutrition world, I am not. I'm a wife and a mom and a runner who's been committed to learning myself. And so what I'm sharing with you is my personal learning, my personal experience, and nutrition and fuel. That's just it's a big topic, and some of the stuff that I may share may be a little controversial. So I'm just going to put that out there. My hope is that you'll just take what I have to give and start to learn and study yourself. And like we talked about today with Carl, it all depends. Everybody needs something different, and so that's my little clarification about what I'm about to share with you tonight. Personally, about 3 to 5 years ago, as a mom, we started to make some changes to the way we were eating. And as a physical therapist, I started identifying a need for areas in nutrition to be improved in order to fuel our bodies for health. And so I've become a little passionate about this topic because personally and professionally, I think our country is in trouble. And this standard American diet or sad American diet is just putting ourselves, our country on a path towards disease. And so that's where a lot of my self-learning comes from. And it's based on a mission, on a determination to do better. Now we're all runners in this group, and so we should be motivated to fuel our bodies, our machines for performance, right? And if we eat the crap, you're going to feel like crap and you're not going to perform. And so that's the basis of where I'm coming from. So if you're joining live, please say hi so I know that you're here, and feel free to post questions. I'm expecting lots of questions on this topic, okay? Now, a lot of the information that I'm getting, a couple different sources, but the main source that I'm using, and for a bit of the content from this week, is a book called Run Less, Run Faster. This book was updated in 2012. Hi, Carl. Oh, good. You can help me out if I if I get stuck on something. This book is, I've tried a couple different programs trying to train. I cannot be a high mileage runner. So I got injured out on some of the other Hal Higdons and that sort of thing. But this type of a plan works for me, and I will say this plan has been modified because Coach Craig is training me for this marathon, and we've modified it a little bit, and because every time I run and fail, I figure something out and add something new. I'll tell you, the last time I failed in my marathon, I'm pretty sure the nutrition piece was why, and I'll talk more about that later. So that's another reason why I'm pretty motivated to get this right this time. Not everything in this book, I think, is accurate and up to date. And so I have other resources that I've pulled in. You'll see that I updated stuff in the file section and added photo albums and things today. Mark Hyman is another person that I respect. And he has referenced this Jeff Volek and Stephen Phinney, The Art and Science of Low Carbohydrate Performance. Therein lies the controversial topic. But I think there's something to the fact that our country is overweight and has diabetes and eats too many carbs, processed sugar-laden carbs. And so I think there's got to be a shift in there somewhere. But a lot of the stuff was on enough and that I was in agreement with that's what I shared. So I'm going to read some things from the chapter first, and then I'll go into a little bit more detail about a lot of the questions that you guys had were related to what should I be eating. So here's the essentials for nutrition for runners. A well-balanced diet is recommended for all healthy adults. Just because you exercise does not mean you can eat anything you want. Hashtag truth. I don't know, I did that in college, but you just can't do that anymore. And I know a lot of people say that they run therefore, I run therefore I eat or something. And it's just, that's just a myth. You are not doing yourself any favors or fueling. There's nothing good for you in those Oreo cookies or, processed foods. A runner's diet should be primarily based on complex or unrefined carbohydrates, which includes whole grains, fruits, and vegetables. That I think is an area to which I would add healthy fats. I think what's happened in our country is the pyramid is actually probably upside down, and we've been eating all carbs on top and fats and oils sparingly, and I think that the research is coming out to suggest we need to not be afraid of fat. This book suggests 60 to 70% of calories coming from carbohydrate sources, with only 10% coming from simple carbs. Again, I think that for endurance athletes, there's some benefit to perhaps becoming more of a fat burner instead of a sugar burner. I'll talk more about that a little bit. But basically, the carbohydrates that would be good for you would be the ones we talked about earlier today in the group. Starchy carbohydrates like brown rice, whole grains, quinoa, sweet potatoes. Those are good carbohydrates to have. And then the simple carbohydrates would be your like sucrose, glucose, fructose, so your simple sugars that spike your blood sugar quickly. They tell you that protein should account for about 15% of your total calories and should be selected from vegetables and lean cuts of meat. And vegetable protein is just as nutritious as animal protein and has a less saturated fat. So again, runners don't have to have in this country, we're definitely not protein deficient. So I don't necessarily think you have to have more protein as a runner. But I do think that when they suggest fat calories should account for 15 to 25%, that's low. Carl, you can tell me. I'm fairly certain that even as an endurance or an ultra athlete, your fat content is higher than that. Trans fats just need to be avoided, you guys. Those are the vegetable oil, corn oils, the processed or man-made fats in processed foods just need to be avoided. They are common in snack and processed foods. They can have a negative impact on blood cholesterol. Healthy eating will meet all of the needs of a runner with only minimal changes needed prior to competition. And the diet must provide the energy needed for successful participation in a vigorous training program. What I will say is that some of you have talked about bonking or not having enough energy to get through a race. And we can talk more specifically one-on-one with you, but it may be related to your stores, your glycogen stores that you have carrying you through, and perhaps changing what you're eating, in general, or even changing what you're eating before you race would be something that we can share more about. Not eating enough will make you unable to complete any quality workout program and may result in loss of lean body mass, so it's possible to not eat enough, and you need to eat a variety of foods to eat a variety of nutrients. So that being said, we're going to talk about four or five. I have 5 questions to share with you that are common for runners and all are related to fuel. And I think this is where you're going to get some value out of this information. So, okay, the question is, how much should I drink? How much should I drink with regards to running? The recommendation is 16 ounces of water 2 hours before you run, is the recommendation from this book. How many, and then we'll talk a little bit more about hydration and nutrition during. But get yourself some hydration before you go out for your run. I know for myself, I usually drink at least 8 ounces of water, and then I have 8 ounces of like a pre-workout drink that I drink before my long runs. How many calories do I need on a daily basis as a runner? And the thing that's important about this is that not all calories are created equal. So you need to really consider what the calories are. Many athletes underfuel their training. Yet I would say, Carl, you're probably right. And underfueling, I think, can also be not getting enough of the nutrients that our bodies need. So if you're relying on a highly processed diet, you're definitely nutrient deficient and not getting the calories that your body needs. So these calories need to be from whole foods, okay? I have a little equation for you. So again, smart people take notes, get your pen and papers out. How many calories do you need when you are training? The suggestion was to take your weight, multiply it by 11.3, and then add 100 calories for every mile that you're running that day. That's how many calories you need. Carl, yeah, yours has got to be quite high. And you got to figure in your other activities that you do. But you have a good trainer that takes care of you. Hi, Michelle. I see we have a few more friends that joined. So like today, I ran 4 miles. My calorie needs would have been about 1,800. Tomorrow I have to run 12, and I'm going to need about 2,600. So it depends. You can't eat the same every day. You have to give yourself more on the days that you run more. Okay, so that's how you figure out how many healthy calories, nutrient-dense calories you need. It's a math problem to figure that out. And then tracking, again, like I know Carl does this, tracking what you're eating and what you're doing is very important method, okay? Number 3, do I need to carbo load? I would like people to weigh in on this, and I would like people to weigh in, those of you that are here. Do you think you need to carbo load? I'm going to give you guys time to answer, and I'm going to start chatting because I'm going to teach a little bit first. So all carbohydrates that you eat become glucose. Coach Craig says no. All carbs that you eat become glucose. When your body doesn't use it immediately, it becomes glycogen. Glycogen is the stored form of glucose. See, here's the science part of my brain and biology. If you are exercising and it's considered easy, if it feels easy to you, just an easy run, your body can rely on fat to burn and sustain your energy. As your intensity goes up or as your duration goes up, so half marathon, you're going to deplete you're going to transfer to glucose and glycogen, and then you're going to deplete your glycogen stores. And when that happens, you're going to hit the wall. I have been there and done that. Yeah, so Carl says no, but then about 2 days or so before, it's not a bad idea. So I like that. I like that point you make. When your glycogen is gone and you're hitting the wall, you do go back to burning fat, but it doesn't go well at that point for you. It's not fast enough. And so that's why it doesn't feel good and why your performance and your speed goes down. So this was an interesting concept that I read about today. If you're eating a balanced diet and you're getting those healthy carbs on a regular basis, when you start to taper for your event and your your energy expenditure goes down, that's going to not equate to a carbo load, right? So you don't necessarily have to carbo load for the 2 weeks before you race, but a day or so before would be okay, as long as you're choosing the smart, low glycemic carbs, sweet potatoes, brown rice, quinoa, whole grains, fruits, okay? And then the day before, the morning of, you probably want to avoid foods high in fiber if you're experiencing or don't want to experience GI upset during your run, okay? If you run an even pace, which is recommended for those longer distances, and hold yourself back, you're going to be a more efficient burner of your fuel and prevent hitting the wall. Going to work on that. Okay, what to eat before you race. This is a huge area of, it depends. It depends on the health of your gut. It depends on how far you're going, and oh, there's just so many things. You have to try and error, and you have to try and succeed, and you need to keep track of what you do before you run, and you need to use your long runs as your guide. Okay, I have another calculation for you about how much to eat. Okay, because that's a question. I feel pretty comfortable saying about 2 hours before a long run is necessary for a time to digest. Maybe an hour for the fluid, 2 hours for the food that you want to eat. So, but if you want to be safe, you can take the number of hours before your run times twice your body weight. Twice your body weight times the number of hours before you run gives you the number of calories that would be safely tolerated or sufficient to fill the needs of your body and with enough time to digest. So roughly about 300 to 500 calories of healthy foods. Maybe the ones we shared this morning, the snacks, oatmeal, toast, eggs, banana, oranges would be good, you know, about 300 to 500 calories 3 hours before your marathon, 100 to 150 calories of a drink before you run. And then, and honestly, and I would agree with this, if you're running a 5K or a 10K, you really need very little. In fact, most days if I'm going to wake up and go for a short run, I don't eat. And other times I might just have a banana, because that does sit okay with me and my digestive tract. Question number 5, what do you do during the race? Especially this would be for those endurance events where you're running a long time. You do need to have some sort of replacement for the energy that you're burning. And so you should be consuming some carbs to replace your glycogen and maintain your blood sugars. They suggest every 6 to 8 hours. Oh, sorry. Every 6 to 8 hours. Well, that might be for Carl. 6 to 8 ounces of fluid every 30 to 35 minutes. And if you're using something like a gel, every 45 minutes to 1 hour. You have about 90 minutes of stored carbs in your system before when you get started racing, but it is suggested that you start giving yourself, you should begin early. So like, don't wait until you're starting to feel depleted to start using the gels and the electrolyte drinks, but start early and keep your pace even, like we talked about. So again, that is the great big picture. Hi, Andrea joined. It is a lot of information, so go back and re-listen to this and take notes. And for those of you that have specific questions, I know I've talked to a few of you. My suggestion is if you're not feeling well before, then you may be eating too soon before you run. You may need to back up the time. And then you may need to consider, the type of food that you're eating and experiment with the healthy foods that we talked about. So that's what I have. If there's questions for those of you joining, feel free to write them. But then I'm just going to kind of give a quick recap. Oh, I know I talked for a little while here. Today I shared a lot of information. This morning I shared the snacks that we use for ourselves, for our kids who are athletes also. You need, if I can stress anything, and I uploaded a lot of stuff today for you guys to take a look at. You need to start to consider that your body is a machine and that food is fuel, and you need to feed your bodies food for health and not for disease. That's important for us as runners. It's important for us as families. And I truly believe that the disease epidemic that we have in our country, much of it is preventable if we just start eating clean, whole, not processed foods. So please start to educate yourself on that and read labels. If there's more than 3 in an ingredient label, it probably has too many. If you can't pronounce it, that's not a good idea either. So this morning we shared our pre-race snacks. We shared great resources for alternate electrolyte replacements. Some of that is new to me as I prepared for this, and I'm excited to make some of that for our family. And tomorrow we close. So there will be a post that goes up in the morning, and here's, for those of you that are on, you'll get a little sneak peek to it. We want to know how we did. We are thankful that you spent the week with us. We enjoyed immensely sharing our love of running with you and giving this information to you guys. And we would like to hear back from you how we did. So in the morning, I have a post that'll go up, and it has a little Google form that's very short. If you take the time to fill it out for us with some feedback about how we did, what you liked best, what we can do better. Hi, Julian. Then we're going to put you in a drawing for a giveaway, and I'm going to make you wait till tomorrow to find out what the giveaway is, but it's something that we think will help you get stronger and faster and more flexible and help you with cross-training for your running. So the link will go up in the morning. If you fill it out by 9 o'clock tomorrow night, you will be entered in the drawing. We'll be giving away a pretty cool prize, and Julian, and I'm very excited to say, is going to be working with us at Team NESIT here very closely over the next well, forever, because that's what happens when you sign up with Team NESIT. You have us for life. So thank you guys so much for this week. Post questions below, and go have a super Saturday night.